Yep, that's the next few days worth of CB repairs and tune-ups, so I better get cracking on those. Let's see what we got in the first box. 3 very well repped radios. I believe we have 3 commtrons in here with microphones for a setup and a service. So let's break the first one out of the box. This is the first one. Very tidy looking commtron CB40F. Overall condition looks to be very nice indeed, and we'll get that service for the customer. And looking at the back of it there, we've got a manufacturing date of January 1982. Overall that looks very nice indeed. Original power socket. So hopefully this one is just a tune-up and a service if required of any of the controls. We shall check all that out for the customer. So let's get cracking. We've got self-tapping screws in some of these case holes, which is a shame. We can actually fix that. I have a method of doing it, but it's all time. I've got 3 radios to do, so we'll probably won't address that, but we'll certainly make the customer aware. He's probably aware of it anyway. So, but that's a shame, and for the cost of a cheap screw, people just tended to put these computer case type screws in there, which is a shame, but that's what happens. Yep, this looks quite clean and tidy inside. It's got a very faint whiff of tobacco smoke, which I'm not going to judge that or judge anybody on that. I used to smoke like a chimney. But what it does mean is I will give the controls a good test and make sure that they're okay and clean. And we won't clean them unless they really need it, but the film of the tobacco smoke can get in the switches and in the controls. So I always when I always smell that smell, I always double check that, treble check that. But it looks very, very clean, and we'll put it on and take some measurements and see what it's doing. Lovely to see a factory mic as well. I've actually not seen a proper commtron mic. I've got plenty of the Maxcom mics, but I've not seen the commtron mic with the original plug on it. Now these plugs can be a little bit problematic, as can these microphones. I really like these microphones, but they suffer from 2 things. One is these mouldings on the casings tend to break where the screws go in, because it's very thin at the sides, and the elements in these, the dynamic mic elements, go open circuit very easily, and it's about £8 to £9 to get replacement dynamic mics if you're buying them one-off. So if you are buying one of these radios and somebody can test it, always get them to test the microphones, because these, although they are a classic, they tend to be a bit of a weak point. Right, so we've got noise, we've got white noise, we've got the squelch working, we've got the light on in the meter, so that's good. We'll just switch it to PA. On these sets you turn it all the way back there for PA, so we'll just check that. 1, 2. Yep, so PA is working okay, and the PA volume level is adjusted on the volume knob there. It's mic gain on some other radios, but it's on the volume knob on this one. Okay, we've got the TX light. We've got full meter movement there. We will calibrate that though. We've got the TX light, and we're doing a full 4 watts there. The radio to low power, we're doing the bang on 400 milliwatts, which is exactly right for minus 10 dB, but that's spot on, so that's good. But we will check this on the spectrum analyzer as well, and make sure that all of those watts that we're putting out are going out on the right frequency. Okay, next check is modulation. 1, 2, 1, 2. See, that's very low. That's right down in the dumps, that. So that needs to come up. We'll do that. There is a commtron service manual, but of course the Maxcom manual will do just the same thing, or the Midland, because it's essentially the same chassis. So but this is the official commtron manual. To adjust the modulated audio, it's RV105 tucked away in the corner there, and we'll just do that with the tone generator here. One, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. There you go. 2.2 to 2.5. Perfect. Frequency on the STR on channel 20, we can see we're spot on frequency, and we'll just check how that aligns with the frequency counter. On the frequency counter, it's slightly down, 27,79105. So we'll just bring that up a little bit, and to do that we adjust the red trimmer there next to the 10.24 meg crystal. There we go, 2779126. That is as near as makes no difference. We always like to set them a little bit higher because they naturally drop with age. As these radios are coming in for a proper service, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any repair required here, we will actually check the customers the VCO on this radio as well, which we do via a test point. Now, very often the test point is missing on this particular chassis, and I can see just from experience straight away that this is also missing as well. The test point here should be located here, within this point here. So we'll actually have to test from this point here using a meter. But for some reason in the factory they omitted these test points. I don't know why, just down to cost, and probably didn't even bother testing it. I don't know. Or they may have had some kind of pin that connected to this point here in the test rigs. But we'll test the. We won't do that on camera, but we'll check the VCO as in spec. You can see looking at the radio that this hasn't been touched anyway, and that is definitely within spec. It's dropping to 2 volts on channel 40. On channel 1, and on transmit on channel 40 it's 3.2 volt. Okay, on receive this isn't looking too bad. That's doing 0.55 of a microvolt for 12 dB synad. We will go through the receive front end though, just to tweak that up, see if we can get a bit more. We'll do that off camera, and then we'll actually look at the output on this scope. Okay, to adjust receive we do 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and then the detector we do on the oscilloscope, which is hiding down there. Right, that was really quite far out. We've made a very nice adjustment on receive there. At 0.38 of a microvolt we're doing 12 dB synad, and I'm pretty sure we could hear this all the way down to as low as my signal generator could go. So we're kind of losing it about there. That's 0.2 of a microvolt, so that's pretty good for one of these, and that's quite a significant improvement in receive performance. We've got 100 microvolts on the scope, and we can see there that our signal meter needs adjusting. Now, on some versions of this radio and on other chassis and the Maxcons, there's nothing you can do about this. However, a factory modification that they did at a later date was to put a potentiometer there on the meter for adjusting it, and this is something you can add yourself as well, and I recommend that you do this, particularly if it's quite far out. So that's something I thought I would mention, and I believe it is a 10k potentiometer there, so we'll give that a clean and then adjust, and we'll get that back into the strawberry patch. Okay, that's now showing £9 there on the bar. I mean, these are fairly subjective, some of these meters on these CBs, but I do like to get them absolutely spot on. And I believe we need to check that on transmit as well. So we'll just check and make sure we're on the in the right location on transmit. It's again not always adjustable. It depends on the chassis and if they've got the potentiometer fitted. I've just given that a squirt. So if you do need to adjust the TX meter, it's the top one there, RV103. So we'll just do that and get it exactly where it should be. And there we go, that's spot on. That's on the 4 there. And don't be alarmed if when you get the CBs connected to your antenna and you see less than 4. That's normally often down just to SWR problems on the antenna or match. But into a perfectly matched load, such as what's on this, which is a dummy load, all of these tests are done into a dummy load, then that's how you should adjust these meters. Okay, for transmit power, it is doing 4 watts, but we will go through it again. We've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 115 hiding down there as well. Now 115 you should adjust for peak power all the way through, and then if you're getting once you've peaked it with 115, if you're getting more than 4, you turn this one down so you're getting 4 watts on the meter. But we will actually check this on the spectrum analyzer as well, just to make sure that all of those watts are going out where they should. And we've got a nice generous 4 watts there, and we've checked it on the we're checking it on the spectrum analyzer there, and we're getting a very low harmonic up on 55 megs, so that's good and that's well within spec. What we'll do now is, now we've adjusted the power section, we'll just quickly adjust that S meter again, or power meter on transmit, so it's spot on. Again, there's no need to adjust to spray these controls. I mean, generally these controls should be self-cleaning anyway, so but certainly don't spray into the controls unless you really need to. and it doesn't look like we've got any missing segments on the display, which is always worth checking, because you can get those, and sometimes you can, just a bit of cleaning can sort those out. And I do have a technique of where on these wafer switches, where if they're really bad, you can just drill a very small pilot hole down there and get a bit of switch cleaner in, and that does actually work. A lot of people have that problem with missing segments, particularly from radios that have been, like I say, in a smoky environment. So what we'll do as a courtesy for the customer is these contacts tend to tarnish over age, so we'll give those a clean and a spray, and then the only thing that we've left to do is just to adjust the squelch. Okay, so we've got a 100 microvolt signal, and I'm going to be able to drown that out completely with the squelch, and then just bring the 100 microvolt signal back in. So we'll adjust that for maximum, and then to adjust the squelch we're looking at RV101. RV101 is there in the center of your screen. You can see it's quite tarnished, so we'll just use a little bit of spray there, give that a clean, and we'll give that a wiggle, and then we'll go and adjust the squelch, so we'll get it to come just in. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Okay, that skeleton trimmer isn't the best. It's got really quite gummed up over the years with stuff, and I want to leave it in there because it's an original part. There's no, but the squelch is as good as I can get it with adjustment. It's okay on the sensitive end. We've got 0.28 of a microvolt here, and we go up to 0.32 of a microvolt, and it opens. So on the low end it's fine, and on the high end it's taken about 128 microvolts to open with the squelch wound fully. That's as good as I can get it, but like I say, I don't want to unnecessarily take that out, because it still does work even though it's a bit gummy, but the squelch is still working nonetheless fine, so we'll leave that in place. And they're quite hard to get hold of, these proper skeleton trimmers now, and I think if you put the plastic ones in, that's fine, but they do stand out a little bit on an older radio, so if I can avoid doing that, I tend to avoid doing it. So that's good. We don't have to change any parts there. I think that's it for the alignment of this. Like I say, it's just had a good service. We will check over the back of the board for any dry joints, and then we'll pop the case on and move on to the next one. These radios don't suffer from dry joints in my experience anyway. Only when they've had a soldering expert go in there and start doing stuff would I worry, but that looks in pretty good shape, so we won't go touching that. And again, the capacitors in these are normally always alright, again, unless it's been overvolted or abused in some way. A visual inspection of these, particularly the larger capacitors, indicates to me that they all look good as well. And it is sporting the original power transistor there, I do believe. So yeah, all over a very nice radio indeed. And I know I've got a couple of these, and you may well have seen my videos on them, so they are a really nice little set, an unusual looking little set, I always think, the commtron. Right, we're going to use mic number 1. That's the mic we've been using on all these setups for these 3 commtrons. So we're going to see if Mick is about. We've got radio number 1 on the bench here. Okay there, Mick, I don't know if you're about on channel 25. Just give you a little radio check on this commtron CB40F. This is the first one out of a batch of 3 radios. Wonder what this one sounds like.
Yeah, good morning, Paul. It's Mick here, and together we're doing some radio testing. You said it was a commtron. I think it was a CB40F, and the audio on it, received audio at this end, is very good indeed. It's nice and punchy, not too much bass, but fully readable. Back to you, Paul.
Yeah, Roger D, and likewise your audio is very good. There's obviously we don't get an amazing signal between us here, but yeah, I'm very pleased with that. These have aligned quite nicely, these sets, and there's quite a lot of improvement gained on receive, so that's always good. They always, when they come out of the factory with these, they probably wound them back a bit back then to stop them being bleed over boxes, but you can open them up now, and that's certainly got a good set of ears. You're coming through really good on it. So okay then, Mick, thanks for that. Just as a general courtesy to the customer, originally these radios would have this nice red and silver inspected sticker on the back of it, exactly like that. So we'll pop that on the back exactly where it should be. There we go, number 1, fully inspected. On to the next one. Okay, let's wrap this video up. If you have been, thank you ever so much for watching. And the next video, there's 2 more of these to do, and I might do a video about those too, but I think they're all going to be fairly similar, so we'll see how we progress. If there are any faults, then I'll fire the camera up. Thanks for watching.